Welcome back, everybody, to the Level Up podcast. For those who are new, Level Up was developed to facilitate challenging, real, and raw conversations with minorities about their unique experiences in the workforce. And today, on this show, we have the opportunity and the pleasure to sit with Terri and Jennifer, and I'll let them introduce themselves a little bit more, so I won't have to get into the LinkedIn version of them. And we're gonna have a conversation about some of the ins and outs that we all are facing right now in terms of like leading teams remotely. So I can start with you, Terri. Can you tell me a little bit about your backstory, and kind of what led you to the career that you have now?
Absolutely. I've actually been in staffing my entire professional career. So about more than 20 years ago, and I've done every role within recruiting. Started out as a sourcer, and then moved into a recruiting role, then sales management, and then running a branch, and now I'm a regional director. So definitely enjoy the business, helping people achieve their career aspirations, helping clients achieve their goals. So definitely love the business. It's great. And it's all based primarily, the positions I staff are primarily technology related.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's pretty rangy career there.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you, Jennifer? What's your origin story?
My origin story is I have been in some version of project management or business operations for about 19 years now. I right now am a PMO director, and I really moved up the ranks through all of the traditional project management paths as being a business analyst, a project manager, a program manager, and I've been doing my current PMO role for about a year.
Okay, sounds like we're gonna have a really good conversation. So seems like we have a lot of a wealth of knowledge from a project management perspective and also a people perspective on how we should manage these things. So I would guess, what were some of the most proud experiences that you two had throughout your journey in your career?
Jennifer?
Sure, I'll go first. I think that for me, the proudest moments that I have, especially being a manager, is seeing other people succeed. That's the real reward that you get every day, is watching people grow into their careers and succeed. Sometimes being a manager can be hard. You have to remember to be a role model, but it's those moments when you watch people really shine and just absolutely killing it that make all of it worthwhile.
Yeah, I would say the same. Is just, I think when you move into it really is at that point also are a contributor yourself, but you look at your position as one to help others achieve their career aspirations and goals. Hopefully mistakes you've made that you've learned the hard way, but yeah, I think that's the big rewarding piece of it. So I've seen people that I've seen, throughout their career, how they've moved up to those next levels, and then help mentoring, coaching them to get to that even, that further level. So for me, the successes I've seen and that get me excited is watching those individuals actually move up their form of flattery is when you start hearing them repeating things that you've said for years, and they've owned it as their own. And I love that. It's just the biggest form of flattery is that piece.
I'm sure you have a couple of jewels that I can borrow from as well.
Yeah.
But as we're all trying to figure out the day-to-day, be it that we are in this COVID-19 pandemic situation, and I guess at this point there's no such thing anymore as how are we going to adjust to we're in the new normal right now. Yeah. Some of the differences between managing remote as a person in person now that we have to be remote.
Okay, well, so for me, I find myself, I don't want to say taking a psychologist approach, but I think the mental health piece is something that's been really important to kind of help years, anxiety, am I going to do my job, and just fears of what's going to happen in the future. And so I'm doing more touch points throughout the day. We kick off every day with a board meeting, so we talk as a group. So it's a good way to make sure that your team comes together on a daily via phone. But we have a screen we're sharing with our activities of what we got planned that week and the day. And I think just doing those touch points with your team on a basis is just really important. I can't stress enough how important it is to be communicating with one another. It keeps me as well on a selfish standpoint, but helps the team as well to, hear from you and talk about what it is that we're all working on and what we're going to accomplish. And it keeps people distracted of, some of the things that are going on outside our control.
Would you lines, Jennifer?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything that Terri said. I think one of the big differences is, in my case, our team is very tight knit, spend a lot of time together in the office, but also outside of work. So I think that not having that water cooler conversation and that connection has been difficult for the team. So I agree with Terri, constant Zooms, phone calls, texting all the time. It's just nonstop chatter, which is because it helps break up the monotony of being stuck in our house and in this very weird Zoom environment, if lack of a better word. Yeah. My team works 100% in the office. So this was a huge change for us and one that they surprisingly have handled very. So I do think that having the fun virtual happy hours and playing games and doing some of that fun stuff to keep it going is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been forced also. I'm pretty much a face-to-face, hands-on type of guy. I love to communicate when I'm in person. It's just kind of hard to understand sometimes what a person is truly trying to convey via an email or a text or something like that. So what are some of the ways that you're able to communicate effectively, or some of the tips for effective communication remotely?
I think one thing for me that has been different, and this it kind of echoes what Terri said, is I do have a lot more touch bases with my team, but I probably spend a lot more time asking them, how are you feeling? And, what are you feeling about work from home? Because I do feel like emotions right now have been a roster. Like some days we're feeling really good about this, easy, and other days it doesn't feel so good. So just lots more questions of, hey, what's going on? How's your family? What's happening right now? How are you feeling? To just stay connected to everyone.
Yeah, I agree with what Jennifer's saying. That's the same type of thing. Asking them is just starting off the conversation instead of hey, let's get this accomplished today. It's, how are you feeling today? Are you doing okay? Are you finding are you still able to do things that you need to do? And if not, what are some of the challenges that you're going through right now? And then after that, asking how's your family? Or if if somebody's been affected by something, asking through what's going on with that matter. And I think more now than ever is just life piece of it is just recognizing the fact that people have their down days. And I certainly have had mine myself where it's just I have to look at these same four walls, another day I'm going to, go crazy. But I think that is more important than ever is how you're feeling. Do you have the things that you need? And I think work can be a great distraction to what's going on. So we'll focus in and I'll give a specific task hey, let's try to accomplish this today and let's see how that goes. And check in with me if you get any successes with that. So I'm more conscious than ever not to be overly critical, to celebrate the successes that each individual has. and really focus in on positives, because there's way too many negatives to not do that. So
I guess that's a good segue to this next piece, because you touched on it a little bit about giving those small goals every single day, or maybe medium-sized goals to kind of attain, and give the associates or employees something to kind of aim for every day. Because there's so much time in the day, and now that we're working remotely, we can work from 8 a.m. till 12 p.m., or 12 a.m. rather. What are how are you guys measuring team performance?
For me, a lot hasn't really changed for us. So the big changes for my team in managing a PMO is that because of changes in staffing related to the crisis, but the team went from 24 people to 9 people overnight. So for the people who are remaining, we have a tremendous amount of work to do. So it's not really if you need more help, because you actually have so much work to do. So measuring the performance for my team hasn't changed at all. We're tracking against projects and key metrics just like we did before. It's more of like, how can I help you? How can we be utility players and jump in? Someone else is drowning in work right now, and making sure that we're getting the right work done at the right time.
Well, I want to touch back on that after Terri.
Yeah, and so for me, we're based, and so we've been surprised that we've been as busy as we have, even with our customers, some of them halting hiring and things of that nature. But we've made sure to check in. We're very much a people-oriented business, customers, and we have consultants, and they're going through the same type of insecurity. So we've just, as a team, have broken up lists saying, okay, let's contact all, let's see how they're doing, let's make sure they have everything they need to work remotely, etc. And then if they're hearing anything of what changes may be going on with our clients. And then the same thing, checking in with our clients. How are things going? How's your team looking? What can we be prepared for to help you once things start to lift and you think you're going to hiring again? What can we proactively be working on? And then we're very sales oriented, so we have activity measures, and so it's easy for me to measure. I can go out on our dashboard and see how the team is performing towards activities. So I can ask them, why are you struggling in this area? What can I do to help you? What is it that you need in order to accomplish these goals? Keep in mind, this would be a good distraction, as well as it could generate more business that we could all be working for as a team. So it actually has not been difficult. It's just more points with the team on a daily basis, and just making sure that you're, being very consistent with that.
I think that's definitely important. Conversation, I'm hearing a whole lot about empathy, just being empathetic to everyone that is very differently. I know I work with a lot of folks who have children and I don't. So my work day has been way more flexible than theirs, and they have to be principals and teachers now, and lunchroom attendants. So that's been really interesting. But I think just approaching that, understanding that there may be a school issue that's going on right now, and they can't necessarily get to an email or so as quickly as they used to, and kind of giving them some grace, and giving myself some grace also, so I won't just burn out because I'm working every single day. How and what ways did you guys' management style change for all of this, if any?
I'll go first. I'm not sure that it has, except for the content and questions. I always, with someone through storytelling, I have absolutely no shame in telling my team anytime I made a mistake, I flubbed something, I did something embarrassing, because I want them to learn from the things that I did so they don't make those same mistakes. But also, when they're not feeling good, I want them to know how I feel. Like, I don't feel great today either. Let's talk about that. Why do we feel this way?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more conversations right now just about our day-to-day feelings than we would normally have in the office. So I think that's probably the biggest change. I think a lot of that is because in this virtual environment, you can't feel the vibe of the room. Like you can't feel the
Mm-hmm.
energy anymore. And so we get ourselves into really large Zoom meetings and everyone is just silent.
Yeah.
Whereas we know if we had been in the room together, it would joking and chatter and lots of everyone's just got, lips are sealed. I have nothing to say. So it's checking in to say, like, what did you really want to say in that meeting?
Agree with that. It definitely, the personal touch points are really important. And I've an open door policy, so like the majority of my day was nonstop people coming into my office to run something past me, review an email they're getting ready to send out, get my 2 cents on it. So I love that my team knows and recognizes the fact that I'm more of a mentor coach. I am not in any way. That's not my thing. And honestly, if I have to micromanage somebody, we're not each other. But I don't think it's any different. I think now it's just I'm getting the phone calls and I'm calling them in each other. So I think it's just more we're touching base via phone, which it's hard. I want to see people face to face. You want to have that face to face interaction. But yeah, we're keeping as much as we can. And I know when I start off the board meetings, I started off with a ton of high energy, and sometimes we'll come in and say just absolutely ridiculous things. Marilyn, I'm probably going to do his name wrong, but Marilyn Manson, Beautiful People. So like I have that song, Beautiful People, Beautiful People. And, or I'll come in going, good morning, Vietnam, whatever. It's like anything to just kind of get people laughing, get them and starting off the day with some good positive energy. I think it's just super important. I love to do it. It's my natural personality, so it's fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think actually being in the Foxhole figuratively and literally right now is going to kind of, help build stronger relationships with our coworkers. I think I've learned a whole lot more about the people that I work with because I'm literally in their homes every day with them.
Yeah.
No one knew I painted, and it's like now it's just there. They're trying to dry out at this moment. But Jennifer, you spoke a little bit about some of the reductions on your team. Can you speak about how you managed those reductions?
Sure. So my team was predominantly made up of consultants, and when things changed related to COVID, I had to conserve funds essentially. And so it meant that we put a lot of projects that we were working on hold temporarily. And that resulted in us having to roll a lot of our contractors off. And it was really a hard situation because my team was staffed so heavily with contractors, many of which were people that we had known a long time. They were our family too. So it was very difficult to have to do. And not only that, but we had to do it over Zoom, which it felt like kind of a chicken approach to having to let someone go with having to do it virtually. And so I was pretty upset about it. It was heartbreaking. I think that about it because I felt like I couldn't sit down with someone and have a real conversation about it. And it wasn't something we wanted to do, right? And it was hard to digest that yesterday everything was completely fine and now it's not. So I think it was really hard on the team in general. It's been a few weeks now and we because I think also hopeful that those people will be back as soon as things start to turn around. And so their excitement about it. And then the other part was just the difficulty of, having to change the work that we had to do and pick up so much additional work. And I think that the team managed the change so surprisingly well that it really made that part as a manager pretty easy. I could check in with them back and just watch them do their thing.
Yeah. Sounds like a pretty good team culture there. I think a lot of the work really has to be done up front with situations like this because it's kind of hard to really try to figure out a game plan once you're actually in a situation like this. So kudos to you, in your leadership. Did you have anything, Terri?
No, we did too as a company. We did some cutbacks overall. We went through integrating two companies together and or merging two companies together. And we went from Fahrenheit IT, now we're E-Team Group. And so those type of things had to occur anyways, as there was some on stuff. So both my teams were affected by that, and it's really difficult, because you have people that you work with, you like them a great deal. For one reason or another, they ended up being the ones that got cut. And so having those type of conversations are difficult, and ones that, like Jennifer, it's painstaking to do it, period. But to not do it in person, it just feels so impersonal. So there was nothing personal against it, though. There was, we obviously had no choice. None of us have ever gone through this before, and so it is just uncharted territories. But certainly, I do think some positive have occurred from it. I do think that companies have learned that you have to almost manage people to turn it off. Shut down your computer, walk away, and have somewhat of a personal life. Otherwise, I find myself and other people late night emails coming, etc. And I just think people are working even harder, during this time. And so, that's one piece. The other piece is that I think it's good that companies are seeing that you can work virtually. And so I think for us on a consultative level, when we're out trying to find talent for our clients, a lot of times we're trying to talk our clients into got this great plan, but they sit in California. So we're hoping that through this whole exercise that we've gone through, that people will realize that, there is a lot of untouched talent out there to have with your team, full-time person or a contractor that doesn't necessarily sit in Columbus, Ohio. And so I do think those are some of the positives, to see that, we were able to make life go on to a certain extent. Now, I'm not downgrading that there was a lot of people negatively impacted, jobs lost, unemployment is higher than it's ever been. We've definitely been hit economically, no doubt about it. But I'm saying for the ones that were able to sustain, here's some positives that came out of that piece of it.
Can you talk a little bit more about how you're keeping morale up? I know we touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to double click into that.
Sure. Jennifer, you want to start? Or
Sure.
Okay.
I think that, just like Terri mentioned earlier, we've tried to do lots of silly things. We've had tons of virtual Zoom hours with the team and with my peers too, which is really fun because we're missing that. Like, I'm spending a lot of time with my team, but not a lot of time with people that I would normally interact with in the office. So we've been, trying to stretch out to have different virtual happy hours. We've played games online together, either via text or through Zoom. We've had like wear funny hat days, just things like that to try to be silly and fun. I think I'm also really fortunate to be part of an organization that is all about transparency. So the leaders in my organization do a lot of the lifting. We get updates from our leaders every week. We have like all company meetings or all IT meetings where they give us updates on, financials and HR related issues and plans and how the business is looking. And I think that part keeps morale up because people don't have that insecurity because they know exactly what's going on. And I know for the people on my team, getting those updates from the leaders makes a huge difference. They never miss those updates. They are on there every single week. And I'm very appreciative that, at least, and I get to hear what's going on too. So it's awesome.
To say the same exact thing. I think that it's when you hear from leadership, and we've had sales training activities gone on, recruiting type trainings, and like our C-suite, are on those calls and running those meetings, and then giving us company updates on COVID, giving us company updates on performance, etc. And so to hear it directly from them, I think is hugely important, and it helps us as line managers, just kind of emphasizing those same exact messages that we're speaking, that they're like, okay, we're also hearing this from our leadership as well. So I agree with Jennifer on that. That has just been huge. And to work for an organization that's so cognizant of that type of communication and how important it is. I love that, I'm with a company like this. And then for us, we have done a lot of Zoom happy hours. And they have been really fun. And so we'll go around, because I think just the not talking over each other, that has been something that's been interesting to navigate, but we'll have people tell funny stories of something that's gone on family. And
let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, I could say the funny people that don't realize that they are not on mute, and the amount of F-bombs that you'll hear trying to figure things out. Yeah. So that's been kind of interesting. Or them sharing story with people. I don't know if you guys saw the one where the lady did not realize that her camera was on to the bathroom, while she was on a Zoom meeting with her people that she works with. I felt Tiffany so bad for her. But pardon me?
Was it Tiffany Haddish?
Oh no, I don't know.
I think Tiffany Haddish did that too.
No, I think she was mocking it. Or was she mocking it? I don't know.
No, I think it was a real
really?
thing.
Oh my, awesome. No, it was a different lady, but I forget which company. They were like, oh my. So she did not know it. But that was kind of funny to see that. But also not having to drive anyone drinking. So I would say the only difference is people have definitely maybe me. I don't know.
I would a lot of drunk calls. I think for me, some of the funniest stuff that I've seen has been related to pets or children, especially small children.
Oh yeah.
There have definitely been people who are presenting on a call with a very large audience, and all of a sudden, like a very small child, just a person starts tapping on them and asking questions. I've seen that happen several times, or like just comes into the room like screaming and crying. Everyone's trying to not laugh at it. I've also seen lots of pets all of a sudden appear in people's laps, like very large dogs just sitting on someone's lap and you can't even really see their face, and cats walking in front of cameras. So there's definitely been a lot of that.
Yeah. No, I love that stuff. I've seen it, too, with the kids. It's just like, I need to go potty.
Yeah.
Like,
they always have like the best timing.
Yeah.
I know, like literally one of the last meetings that I had, super important meeting, right? Kids don't care.
No.
They're like trying to make as much noise as they possibly can. So that's always hilarious when I experience that too. How are you guys handling this transition back? The great migration back, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Terri.
All right, sorry. So we've done, and this again came from our leadership, but I thought it was brilliant. It has divided the office into teams. So we have an orange team and a gray team, and those are our colors as a company. And so half the team goes in half the week, the other half the team is going in half the week. And we just started that this week. So it's been nice to, especially who are in a situation where they can work from home, maybe have kids that are home now, or whatever the case may be, or maybe they do, but they have babysitting, and so they can still go into the office. So it's been a very slow, and we're just starting out on that piece. But I did relieve the pressure, and so did upper management, that you are not in, for the remainder of this month. If you are not comfortable going in because of any potential exposure to COVID, you do not have to go in. So there's no pressure for people to do it. And I think that's really important, because I think everybody always feels like, oh gosh, are they going to think I'm being a slut? They're going to think I'm working hard. And where I truly believe everybody has a lot of anxieties. There's so many wounds, and we hear so many different stories, some of them so horrific that I don't want to put any added pressure on anyone if they don't want to, through this month, we're hearing it from a company, and then towards the end of the month, hear about what June will look like. And so I think that's been a big thing on having discussions with your team about what the future is going to look like, because I think that's where all the insecurities and anxieties come from, is that unknown. And so I always kind of say, well, unless we're going to become a third world country, we are going to have to go back to some of the ways that we did business. It'll be a slow transition, but economically we do have back. So I think you continue mindful of people who are high risk, and just, if you're in that situation, beware, be careful. But otherwise, people are going to have to start going back to work. We're going to have to start, turning back on that engine and, getting our economy going again. Otherwise, we're going to have a whole other set of problems.
So Jennifer, how do you see work-life balance and changing in the future?
I definitely think that for groups and organizations that have been really successful working from home, definitely be companies where they maybe just never go back into the office because they're more successful working from home. And I think that blurs the line between work-life balance. We kind of mentioned it earlier. When you're at home, and especially right now, and we have really nothing else to do besides work, you have to remind yourself that you can't just sit on your computer all day long. And so it's really thinking about, if I were in the office with you today, would I have taken today off? Have I taken any PTO? Am I spending enough time with my family, or am I only stuck on my computer on Zooms all day? And focusing on making sure that you have that balance. I would say that, it's one thing that I've started to push on, because I'm noticing that everybody's on all the time, and that really helps productivity in the end. But I do think that this experience is going to change how workplaces look in the future. Right now, my team is staying at home. We don't have plans to go back anytime soon. And so it's really making sure that we're getting outside, we're still exercising, we're still doing things that we would normally do, instead of just sitting here all day long in front of the PC.
You have anything to add to that, Terri?
Yeah, I think to Jennifer's point, just encouraging people to go outside. I'm just, had where we did a put test, and we were talking, and people would throw in some smack and take some video of doing it like outside, and taking walks, taking bike rides. So I've really encouraged that, especially now, because people don't shut down a lot of times. It's just do it when it's convenient. Don't be worried so much about 8 to 5 and that you're in your butt in seat, doing your thing with your job from 8 to 5. There means more flexi with the job more than ever, because he is home. There hasn't been that we can do. So if it's convenient for you to take an hour during your time and go take a walk, go take a bike ride, call your mother. You need to do during the time you need to do it, and just allocate the time you need to work, but make sure you have some downtime for sure.
Definitely give yourself space.
Yes.
Right. I think we did a really good job of talking through all of the internal struggles we have and some of the things that we've been doing to kind of get through those. How are we able to effectively support our clients in this time, and also some of our contract workers?
Yeah. I think for me, it's what I've done personally is calling all the contractors. How are you doing? Do you have everything that you need to work from home? How's your family doing? How are you feeling during this time? And giving them reassurances of what we're hearing from our as far as if they are downsized or if they are, cutting people, etc. Just like what we're hearing from our customers and giving them some reassurances, from that standpoint. And then the same thing, checking in with our customers to find out how they're doing, how's, their current environment, how are they feeling, and trying to keep it more on a personal level. So as salespeople, we're calling the customer, trying to find out what job orders. I'm sure, Jennifer, you get lots of those calls, and what openings they're going to have, etc. But now it's been more about, hey, do a recipe exchange, and we can still golf. If you're into golf, we can still do golf, or sending lunch their way, just to brighten up their day during these crazy times. But I think just being mindful of the fact of what everybody's going through, and not just make it about your agenda, but truly caring about them. I think that's just huge right now.
Wow. You have anything to add to that, Jennifer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, my industry is very different, and so we're also a industry, but we're providing like high touch support to our customers. And so for us, it's really been a pivot of what that looks like to have a contactless experience with our customer base, and trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the customer and what that experience looks like for them and how we would want to experience it ourselves. So we're making a lot of changes to still offer the services that we do, but in a low contact or no contact type of situation. And making changes to how we're cleaning vehicles and how we're handling those customers, shaking hands, giving a thumbs up instead, and just doing changes like that. And it's amazing how quickly people adjust to that process and also appreciate it. We get lots of feedback from customers right now about how much they appreciate that we are coming out and helping them and making those changes. So it's different, but there are positives about it.
I gotta think, Jennifer, some of your business may be going up, because I'll tell you, I hit the freeway for anyone. Every guy or gal that has a sports car out there is running that freeway like it is like it's a racetrack. I'm just like, and I'm like, what the hell was that?
But they have to get it out some type of way, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, there's got to be some damaged windshields going on there.
Yeah, I'm sure that there probably have seen stories in the news about this. It's like, who are not going very far, staying home. And I'm one of those people that I haven't really gone hardly anywhere. And I've only been in the car a few times. And if I've gone places, I live in a walkable neighborhood. I've walked to the store. They show that people are still moving around very heavily. And, I don't know how much you guys have driven around, but the times I have been out on the highway, I can't tell that there's been any change. Seems like there's a lot of people out and about. So
yeah,
maybe not a great thing for a pandemic, but these good things for business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I want to put a pin in it right here because we're coming right up on time. So once again, to the viewers, thanks. And I hope you guys enjoyed this show and were able to value out of this. Thank you, Terri. Thank you, Jennifer, for sitting on the couch with us. Well, the virtual couch, right? And again, until next time, leave a comment, like, smash that subscribe button, and share as frequently as you can. Hashtag level up. That's been our show.